I need to tell you this story before it's too late. Before they find me. Before I disappear again. My name is Sarah Castellano. At least, that's what my birth certificate says. But for the last 16 years, I've been Jessica Morgan, a substitute teacher in Portland, Oregon. I drive a Honda Civic. I shop at Trader Joe's. I have a cat named Pepper. I'm nobody. 3 weeks ago, on a Tuesday morning at 6:47 a.m., my burner phone rang. The one I keep in a shoebox in my closet. The one that hasn't made a sound since 2009. I stared at it, my hand shaking so badly I could barely grip the phone. Only 3 people in the world had that number. 2 of them were supposed to be dead. I answered. Sarah, a woman's voice, hoarse, urgent. Sarah, they lied to us. Anthony's alive. The phone slipped from my hand and clattered against the bathroom tile. Anthony, my brother. I watched them lower his casket into the ground in April of 2008. I threw a white rose onto the polished mahogany. I stood in the rain and listened to my mother sob. Who is this? I whispered. It's Elena. Elena Marchetti. Listen to me very carefully. Don't go to work today. Don't use your credit cards. Get in your car and drive to the address I'm about to text you. Come alone. Trust no one. Do you understand? The line went dead. I sat on the edge of my bathtub for 20 minutes, watching the morning light filter through the frosted window, trying to breathe. Elena Marchetti. I hadn't heard that name in almost 2 decades. She was my brother's girlfriend. She was also the daughter of Vincent Marchetti, the underboss of the Genovese crime family in New York. And according to the FBI, she'd been dead since 2009. The text came through, an address in Astoria, a small coastal town 2 hours north. Nothing else. I should have called my handler. That's protocol. Any contact from the past, any threat, anything that deviates from the carefully constructed life they built for me, I'm supposed to report it immediately. Marshall Hendricks has been my lifeline for 16 years. He's the only person who knows who I really am. But I didn't call him. Instead, I packed a bag, grabbed the cash I keep hidden in my air vent, $3,200 in 20s and 50s. I left my phone on the kitchen counter, left my whole life sitting there on that laminate countertop, and I drove north. Let me take you back. Back to where this all started. Back to the fall of 2006. When I was 23 years old and still believed my family was legitimate. I grew up in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, tree-lined streets, corner delis, old Italian men playing bocce ball in the park. My father, Carlo Castellano, owned 3 restaurants and a construction company. We lived in a brownstone on Bay Ridge Parkway. My mother wore pearls to church every Sunday. From the outside, we looked like the American dream. My brother Anthony was 7 years older than me. Dark hair, green eyes, a smile that could charm anyone. He was studying finance at NYU, dating Elena Marchetti, this beautiful, sharp-eyed girl who could quote Dostoevsky and shoot a pistol with equal precision. I was in awe of both of them. I didn't know, I swear to God, I didn't know what my father really did. What Anthony was being groomed to do. It wasn't until October 14, 2006, that I found out the truth. I came home early from my shift at the hospital. I was working as a nursing assistant then, trying to save money for grad school. The house was supposed to be empty. My parents were in Atlantic City for the weekend. But when I walked in, I heard voices. Low, tense, coming from my father's study. I should have left, should have turned around and walked right back out that door. But I heard Anthony's voice, strained and desperate, and something in my chest tightened. I crept down the hallway. The study door was cracked open just enough. You're making a mistake. Anthony's voice. I'm protecting this family. My father, ice cold, by ordering a hit on a federal prosecutor? Papa, they'll never stop coming for us. My blood turned cold. I pressed myself against the wall, barely breathing. James Donovan is a problem. He's building a RICO case. He has witnesses. He has documents. If we don't act now, if we act now, we're confirming everything he suspects. There are other ways. There are no other ways. My father's fist slammed against his desk. This is how we've survived for 70 years. This is how your grandfather built this family. This is how I've kept you and your sister safe, given you everything. Safe? Anthony's laugh was bitter. Sarah doesn't even know, does she? She thinks you're a businessman. She thinks and she will continue to think that. Do you understand me? She will never know. Silence. Heavy, suffocating. The order stands, my father said quietly. Donovan dies on Thursday. Polly and Sal are handling it. I need you there. I need you to see how this works. This is your birthright, Anthony. Your future. I don't remember backing away from that door. Don't remember leaving the house. I just remember sitting in my car 3 blocks away, shaking so hard I couldn't turn the key in the ignition. My father was mafia. My brother was being pulled into it. And they were going to murder a federal prosecutor. I sat there for 2 hours, watching the streetlights flicker on as darkness fell. Every headlight that passed made me flinch. I kept thinking about all the times I'd asked my father about his business, and he'd smiled and ruffled my hair and told me not to worry about boring grown-up things. About the men in expensive suits who came to our house for Sunday dinner. About the way conversations stopped when I walked into a room. How had I been so blind? By the time I made it back to my apartment in Manhattan, a studio I shared with 2 roommates, I knew what I had to do. I spent the night researching, my laptop screen casting a blue glow in the darkness. James Donovan, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, 43 years old, wife and 2 daughters, leading a massive investigation into organized crime in New York and New Jersey. He was going to die in 3 days, and I was the only person who could stop it. The next morning, October 15, 2006, at 9:17 a.m., I walked into the federal building in Manhattan and asked to speak with someone from the FBI. They put me in a small room with gray walls and a metal table. 2 agents came in, Agent Linda Torres and Agent David Wu. They looked tired, skeptical. Probably thought I was another crank. My name is Sarah Castellano, I said. My voice was shaking. My father is Carlo Castellano. He's planning to kill James Donovan on Thursday. The room went very still. Miss Castellano, Agent Torres said slowly, that's a serious accusation. I know. I heard him say it. I heard my brother arguing with him about it. 2 men named Polly and Sal are supposed to do it. Agent Wu leaned forward. Did you see these men? No, but I can tell you everything I heard. Dates, times, locations. I can tell you about the restaurants, the construction company, the men who come to our house. I can. My voice broke. I can help you stop this. They looked at each other. Some silent communication passing between them. Why are you doing this? Agent Torres asked. Why turn on your family? I thought about that question for a long time. Even now, 16 years later, I'm still trying to answer it. Because it's wrong, I said finally. Because James Donovan has daughters. Because if I say nothing, I'm complicit. Because I don't want to be part of this. Because the moment I heard my father order that hit, something in me shattered. The father I thought I knew. The man who taught me to ride a bike, who made pancakes on Sunday mornings, who cried at my high school graduation, that man never existed. He was a carefully constructed lie. They questioned me for 6 hours that day. Every detail I could remember. They brought in more agents. Federal prosecutors. They recorded everything. They were skeptical at first, testing me, trying to catch me in a lie. But I wasn't lying. By the end of that first day, they believed me. The next 72 hours were a blur. They put me in a hotel room with 2 female agents standing guard. They wired me, taught me how to record conversations. They wanted me to go back home, to gather more evidence. But there wasn't time. Donovan's murder was scheduled for Thursday night. On Thursday morning, they raided 3 locations simultaneously. My father's restaurant in Brooklyn, a social club in Queens, and a warehouse in New Jersey. They arrested 17 men, including my father, including Anthony. I watched it on the news from that hotel room, sitting on the edge of a bed that smelled like disinfectant and other people's lives. Footage of my father in handcuffs, being led out of his restaurant. His face was stone. He didn't look scared. He looked like a man who'd been expecting this for 30 years. Anthony looked destroyed, broken. When they put him in the patrol car, he looked directly at the camera, and I swear he was looking at me. Even though he couldn't know I was watching. Couldn't know what I'd done. Not yet. Agent Torres sat down next to me. "You did the right thing," she said quietly. I didn't feel like I'd done the right thing. I felt like I detonated a bomb in the center of my own life. "What happens now?" I asked. Now you testify, and we build a case that will put the entire Castellano organization away for life." My hands were shaking. "My family, they'll figure out it was me." "Yes," she said, "they will. They'll kill me." She didn't sugarcoat it. "They'll try. That's why you're going to enter the witness protection program. New name, new location, new life. You'll be safe." Safe. That word felt like ash in my mouth. Over the next 18 months, I became the prosecution's star witness. I testified in front of grand juries, gave depositions, sat across from federal prosecutors and recounted every conversation I'd overheard, every detail I could remember. They used my testimony as a foundation, building outward with wiretaps, surveillance, financial records. The trial started in March of 2008. United States versus Castellano. RICO charges: murder conspiracy, loan sharking, extortion, money laundering, witness tampering. The prosecution laid out 70 years of organized crime. My father sat at the defense table in an expensive suit, looking like a respectable businessman. He never once looked at me when I took the stand. Anthony did. He stared at me the entire time I testified. His face was hollow. All the life had gone out of his eyes. When I finished and stepped down from the witness stand, I heard someone in the gallery whisper, "She killed her own family." And they were right. That's exactly what I'd done. The day before the verdict was due, Anthony sent me a message through his lawyer. Just 3 words: "I forgive you." I cried for 3 hours in the bathroom of my safe house. Because I didn't want his forgiveness. I wanted him to hate me. Hate was clean. Hate made sense. Forgiveness was complicated. Forgiveness meant he understood why I'd done it, and that somehow made it worse. The jury deliberated for 4 days. They came back with guilty verdicts on all counts. My father got life without parole. Anthony got 25 years. 17 other men went down with them. And I disappeared. The U.S. Marshals Service gave me a new identity. Jessica Morgan. They set me up in Portland with a backstory, documents, everything. Taught me how to stay invisible. No social media. No contact with anyone from my past. No photographs. No trace. Marshal Jack Hendricks was assigned as my handler. 50s, gray hair, soft-spoken. He checked in every month. Made sure I was following protocol. Reminded me that my life depended on staying dead. "You can't trust anyone," he told me during our first meeting. "Not friends. Not romantic partners. Trust gets people in WITSEC killed. You understand?" I understood. For 16 years, I've been alone. Oh, I've had acquaintances. Colleagues at the schools where I've worked. People I've exchanged pleasantries with at the grocery store. But no one knows me. No one knows where I came from or what I've done. I'm a ghost wearing Jessica Morgan's face. I've moved 3 times. Portland to Sacramento. Sacramento to Eugene. Eugene back to Portland. Always staying ahead of the paranoia. The feeling that someone's watching. That someone knows. My mother died in 2011. Stroke. I read about it online. I wasn't allowed to attend the funeral. I sat in my apartment and looked at pictures of her from before, from when I was a child, and felt nothing. I'd cried myself empty years ago. I've thought about Anthony every day. Wondered what prison was like for him. Whether he was surviving it. Whether he'd stayed away from the family business or gotten pulled in deeper. Whether he hated me after all. And then, in 2008, 6 months after the trial, Marshal Hendricks came to my apartment in Portland. His face was gray. "I have difficult news," he said. "Your brother Anthony, there was an incident at the facility where he was being held. A fight with another inmate. He was stabbed. He died this morning." The room tilted. "What?" "I'm sorry, Sarah," The inmate was connected to a rival family. This was retaliation. There's going to be an investigation, but they killed him because of me. No, they killed him because he was a Castellano. Because of who your father is. This is not your fault. But it was. Of course it was. Every consequence of my testimony rippled outward like a stone in water. I'd saved James Donovan's life. I'd destroyed my own family. And now Anthony was dead. They held a funeral. I saw photos online. Small service. Just a few people. My father wasn't allowed to attend. He was in a maximum security prison in Colorado. They wouldn't even let him say goodbye to his son. I didn't go. Couldn't go. I was already dead to everyone who mattered. For 18 years, I believed Anthony was gone. I grieved him in the hollow, distant way you grieve someone you've killed. I built my new life on top of his grave. And then Elena called. The drive to Astoria took 2 hours and 17 minutes. I kept checking my rearview mirror, expecting to see headlights following me. But the highway was mostly empty. Gray sky, dense forests pressing in on both sides. I felt like I was driving into another world. The address Elena had given me was a small house on the edge of town. Weathered blue paint, overgrown yard, no neighbors for half a mile. I parked on the gravel driveway and sat for a moment, my hand on the door handle. This could be a trap. Elena could be working with someone. This could be the moment they finally kill me. But if Anthony was alive, if there was even a chance. I got out of the car. The front door opened before I could knock. Elena stood there, and for a moment I couldn't breathe. She looked older, harder. Her dark hair was streaked with silver. Lines around her eyes. But it was her. Unmistakably her. Sarah, she said. Just my name. Nothing else. How? My voice cracked. They said you were dead. They say a lot of things. Come inside. We don't have much time. The house was sparsely furnished. No photographs. No personal items. Safe house. I knew what that looked like now. Elena poured 2 cups of coffee with shaking hands. We sat across from each other at a small kitchen table. And for a long moment, neither of us spoke. You need to tell me everything, I said finally. Is Anthony alive? Yes. That single word hit me like a bullet. I gripped the edge of the table. How? Elena took a breath. The stabbing was real. He almost died. They put him in the prison hospital in critical condition. And then someone in the U.S. Marshals Service made a decision. They saw an opportunity. An opportunity for what? To flip him completely. To make him disappear. Anthony had information. Names. Locations. Financial structures. Things even your father didn't know he knew. If he cooperated, if he testified, he could take down the entire network. But he'd have to die first. Officially. My mind was racing. They faked his death? They let the rumors spread. Let everyone believe the stabbing was fatal. They held a funeral with a closed casket. And then they moved him into witness protection. Why didn't they tell me? Because you were a liability. You were already in WITSEC. Adding another Castellano to the program was complicated. And the marshals thought. She paused. They thought it was cleaner if you believed he was dead. Less chance of you trying to contact him. Less chance of compromising either of your locations. I felt sick. So for 18 years, I've been mourning someone who was alive. He wanted to contact you. God, Sarah, you have no idea how much he wanted to. But it was too dangerous. For both of you. So he stayed silent. He rebuilt his life. And he thought that was the end of it. So why are we here? Why now? Elena's face darkened. Because someone found out. Someone high up in the organization. They know Anthony's alive. They know he's in witness protection. And they're hunting him. The coffee cup slipped from my hand, shattering on the floor. How? We don't know. But 3 weeks ago, Anthony's handler was found dead. Apparent suicide. Then 2 days later, there was an attempt on Anthony's life. Someone followed him, tried to run him off the road. He survived, but barely. The marshals moved him again. But, she leaned forward. Sarah, whoever's behind this has access. Real access. They're getting information from inside the system. A leak in the Marshals Service? Or higher? FBI, Justice Department. We don't know. All we know is that Anthony isn't safe. And if they know about him, they might know about you too. My whole body went cold. Where is he now? I can't tell you that. Not yet. It's safer if you don't know. Then why did you contact me? Why bring me into this? Elena pulled out a folder from her bag, placed it on the table between us. Because Anthony has a plan. And he needs your help. I opened the folder. Inside were photographs, documents, names I recognized from my childhood, names I'd testified about 18 years ago, and one name I didn't recognize, Thomas Varga. Who's this? I asked. Thomas Varga is a ghost. Former FBI special agent. Worked organized crime for 20 years. He was one of the lead investigators on your father's case. He's the one who coordinated Anthony's fake death and his entry into WITSEC. Former? He retired in 2015. Moved to Montana. Disappeared from public life. Elena's finger tapped his photograph. Except he didn't really retire. He went private, started working as a consultant. And according to Anthony, Varga has something. Information, evidence, proof about who leaked Anthony's location. So go to the FBI with it. We can't. If there's a leak inside the system, going through official channels will just get us killed faster. We need to get to Varga ourselves. We need to get that information and figure out who we can trust. Why me? I'm not. I don't know how to do this. Because you're the only other person who knows the case intimately. Because Anthony trusts you. And because, she hesitated. Because the leak, whoever it is, probably thinks you're just a scared woman hiding in Oregon. They're not watching you the way they're watching Anthony. You have mobility he doesn't have. I stood up, pacing the small kitchen. This was insane. I'd spent 16 years staying invisible, staying safe, and now Elena was asking me to step back into the shadows, to hunt for information that could get me killed. I can't, I said. I can't do this, Sarah. No, you don't understand. I've built a life. It's small and it's lonely, but it's mine. I teach kids. I have a routine. My voice broke. I have safety. You have an illusion of safety, Elena said quietly. And it's already gone. The moment Anthony's location was compromised, the moment his handler died, you became a target too. You just don't know it yet. She pulled out another photograph. Slid it across the table. It was me, taken from a distance, grainy, walking out of my apartment building in Portland. 3 days ago, my legs went weak. I sat down hard. You're already being watched, Elena said. They're just waiting to see if you lead them to Anthony. So you have two choices. You can run, keep running for the rest of your life, always looking over your shoulder, or you can help us end this. I stared at that photograph, at my own blurry face, captured by someone in the shadows. How did you get this? I whispered. Anthony has contacts, people who owe him. He's been trying to protect you from a distance. But Sarah, we're running out of time. Varga is the key. We get to him, we get the information, we expose whoever's compromised the system. We end this, and if we fail, then we're all dead anyway. The truth of that settled over me like a weight. I thought about my apartment in Portland, my cat, my students, the small, careful life I'd built. And I realized Elena was right. It was already gone. The moment that phone rang at 6:47 a.m., my life as Jessica Morgan ended. Where's Varga? I asked. Elena allowed herself a small, grim smile. Montana, small town called Whitefish, population 3,000. He lives alone, no family, very few friends, off the grid. And you think he'll talk to us? I think he'll talk to you. You're Sarah Castellano. You're the witness who started all of this. He knows your name, and according to Anthony, Varga has a conscience. He's been watching this situation unfold. He knows the system is compromised. He wants to help. He's just waiting for someone to ask. I looked at the folder again. All those names, all those faces from a past I'd tried to bury. If I do this, I said slowly, I want to see Anthony. When it's over, I want to see my brother. Deal. We spent the next 3 hours planning. Elena had a car, a nondescript sedan with Montana plates. Untraceable. She had cash, Fake IDs, burn phones. She'd been preparing for this for weeks. How did you get out? I asked at one point. Out of witness protection? Her smile was bitter. I never went in. When everything went down in 2008, when they arrested your father and Anthony, I ran. The FBI wanted me to testify too, but I didn't trust them. I'd seen too many witnesses disappear, so I vanished on my own terms. I've been living off the grid for 18 years. Moving, changing identities, staying alive. And Anthony? We found each other 3 years ago. Accident. Wrong place, wrong time. I was in Colorado, he was in Colorado. We saw each other across a parking lot and she shook her head. We couldn't stay away. We've been careful, meeting in secret, trying to build something, and then this happened. You love him. I never stopped. We left Astoria at sunset, drove east through Oregon, into Idaho, heading toward Montana. Elena drove. I sat in the passenger seat, watching the landscape change from coastal forest to high desert to mountains. We stopped only for gas and food, always paying in cash, always keeping our faces turned away from cameras. It took us 2 days to reach Whitefish, a small town nestled in the Rocky Mountains, surrounded by forests and lakes. Postcard pretty, the kind of place where people go to disappear. Thomas Varga lived in a cabin 6 miles outside of town. Gravel road, dense trees, isolation. We found it on our 3rd pass. Tucked back from the main road, almost invisible. We parked half a mile away and walked in. It was late afternoon, the sun filtering through the pines in golden shafts. I could hear a river somewhere nearby. Birds calling. Elena touched my arm. Let me go first. If something's wrong, we're in this together. She nodded. The cabin was small. Wood siding, stone chimney, a porch with a single rocking chair. Smoke rising from the chimney. Someone was home. Elena knocked 3 times, deliberate. No answer. She knocked again. The door opened 6 inches. A man's face appeared in the gap. Late 60s, weathered, sharp blue eyes. He looked at Elena, then at me. His eyes widened. Sarah Castellano, he said. Not a question, a statement. Special Agent Varga, I said. We need to talk. He stared at us for a long moment. Then he opened the door fully. I've been expecting you, he said. Inside, the cabin was exactly what you'd expect. Simple furniture, bookshelves lining the walls, a fire burning in the stone fireplace. And on the wall above the mantel, a photograph. James Donovan, smiling with his family. The man I'd saved, the reason for everything. Varga poured 3 glasses of whiskey. We sat around his small dining table, and for a moment, nobody spoke. You shouldn't be here, Varga said finally. Either of you. If I found out about Anthony's situation, others have too. That's why we're here, Elena said. We need to know who leaked his location. Who's been accessing sealed WITSEC files. Anthony says you have information. Varga took a long drink. I have a theory, not proof. Not yet. Tell us, I said. He stood, walked to a filing cabinet in the corner, pulled out a thick folder, laid it on the table between us. After I retired, I stayed connected. Old contacts, friends still in the bureau. And I started noticing patterns. Witnesses disappearing, WITSEC placements being compromised, always organized crime witnesses, always the same families. Genovese, Gambino, Lucchese. Inside job, Elena said. Had to be, but not just one person. Too much access, too many different systems. It had to be a network. So I started digging, quietly, following money trails, connections, and I found something. He opened the folder. Special Agent Marcus Chen, 20-year veteran of the FBI's Organized Crime Unit. Impeccable record, decorated agent, and heavily in debt. Gambling problem. His daughter has cancer. Medical bills in the hundreds of thousands. He sold out, I said. Not sold. Coerced. The families are smarter now. They don't bribe. They trap. They find your weakness and they exploit it. Chen needed money desperately. They offered it, and in return, he fed them information. Little things at first, then bigger things, then access to WITSEC files. Elena leaned forward. Can you prove it? I have financial records, offshore accounts, wire transfers, not enough for a conviction, but enough to start an investigation. The problem is if you go to the FBI, Chen will know, I finished. He'll disappear, or they'll kill him to protect themselves. Exactly. I looked at the documents spread across the table. Bank statements, photographs, email transcripts. Varga had been building a case, slowly and carefully, for years. Why haven't you gone public with this? I asked. He smiled grimly. Because I'm an old man living alone in the woods. No authority, no resources. I send this to the wrong person, it disappears. I send it to the right person. I die before it makes a difference. I've been waiting for, he looked at me. For you, for someone who understands what's at stake. Someone who can take this and make it matter. I'm nobody, I said. I'm a substitute teacher in Oregon. I don't have power or connections or. You have your story, Varga interrupted. You're Sarah Castellano. You're the witness who brought down one of the most powerful crime families in the country. Your testimony changed everything. Your name means something. If you come forward, if you tell people what's happening, they'll listen. They'll kill her, Elena said flatly. Probably, Varga agreed, but that's the price. That's always been the price. I felt the weight of it. The impossible choice. Stay silent and stay alive, but let the corruption continue. Or speak up and risk everything. There has to be another way, I said. Varga shook his head. There isn't. I've been looking for 18 years. This is it. You go public. You tell your story. You show them what's been happening in the shadows. You force the system to investigate itself. It's the only way to protect Anthony. To protect all of them. And if I do this, I said slowly, if I step forward and expose all of this, I can never disappear again. Jessica Morgan dies. Sarah Castellano comes back. Yes, and they will come for me. Yes. Elena reached across the table, took my hand. You don't have to do this. We can find another way. We can. There is no other way. I said. The truth of it was settling into my bones. There never was. I thought about Anthony, about the brother I'd mourned for 18 years, about the fact that he was alive, somewhere, hiding in the shadows just like I was. About the chance, the slim, desperate chance, to save him. I thought about James Donovan, about his daughters, about the choice I'd made at 23 years old, walking into that FBI office, knowing it would destroy everything. Some choices you make once. Some choices you have to keep making, over and over, for the rest of your life. I'll do it, I said. We spent the next 2 days at Varga's cabin, preparing. He walked me through every document, every connection, every piece of evidence. Taught me how to present it, how to control the narrative, who to contact, how to stay alive long enough for it to matter. You'll need protection, he said. Real protection, not just the marshals. You need to go directly to the media. Make yourself too visible to kill quietly. Hold a press conference. Tell your story in front of cameras. Make them see you. Where? New York, where it all started. Federal Plaza. You walk in there, you demand to speak to the U.S. Attorney. You give them 24 hours to start an investigation or you go to the press. You make them understand that the world is watching. They'll arrest me for violating WITSEC protocol. Maybe, but they can't hide you after that. And once you're visible, once your story is out there, the families lose their leverage. They can't kill a public figure. It becomes too messy, too much attention. It was a plan, not a good plan, not a safe plan, but a plan. On the third morning, Elena and I loaded the car. Varga gave me copies of everything. Encrypted drives, physical documents, multiple backups. One more thing, he said. He handed me a phone number written on a scrap of paper. When this is over, when you've done what needs to be done, call this number. Anthony will answer. My hands shook as I took it. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just finish it. We drove south, back through Montana, into Wyoming, east toward the interstate. The plan was to make it to New York in 4 days. Drive straight through, switching off, staying ahead of anyone who might be looking for us. But on the second day, Somewhere in Nebraska, Alina's phone buzzed. She looked at the screen and went pale. What? I asked. She pulled over to the side of the highway. Showed me the message. They found Varga. My stomach dropped. What? Anthony's contact. Someone saw us at the cabin. They went back. Varga's dead. I couldn't breathe. Thomas Varga, the man who'd spent years trying to expose the corruption. The man who'd just given us everything we needed. Gone, because we'd led them to him. How long ago? I managed. 6 hours. Sarah, we have to move. If they found Varga, they know where we are. They know what we have. Then we go faster. We get to New York. We're not going to make it in time. They'll be waiting for us. So what do? Elena stared out at the highway. Cars passing, normal people living normal lives. And then she looked at me. We split up, she said. You take the evidence. You go to New York. I'll go the other direction. Draw them off. Give you time. No, absolutely not. Sarah, this is the only way. If we stay together, they'll take both of us. But if we split, if I lead them away, you have a chance. The evidence has a chance. I can't do this alone. Yes, you can. You've been doing it alone for 16 years. This is no different. But it was different. It was everything different. We sat on the side of that highway for 20 minutes, arguing, planning, saying things we'd needed to say for 18 years. And finally, Elena pulled me into a hug. Tell Anthony the first love him, she whispered. Tell him I'm sorry. Tell him to have a good life. Tell him yourself, I said. When this is over, she pulled back, smiled. Sure, when this is over. She gave me her car. Took mine. We divided the cash. She kept the fake IDs. I kept the evidence. We synchronized watches. Planned to check in every 6 hours using the burn phones. And then she drove north, toward Chicago, and I drove east, toward New York. I never heard from her again. For 3 days, I drove. 18 hours a day, stopping only for gas and restroom breaks. The encrypted drives were in a bag on the passenger seat. Varga's documents were hidden in the trunk. And I was alone, truly alone, for the first time in this whole nightmare. I thought about calling my handler, Marshall Hendricks, but if there was a leak in the system, calling him might be signing my own death warrant. I thought about calling the FBI directly, but I didn't know who to trust. I thought about turning around, disappearing into the wind like Elena had taught me. But I kept driving. On the morning of the 4th day, I crossed into New York. Saw the Manhattan skyline rising in the distance. I hadn't been back since 2006. 20 years. A lifetime. I parked in a garage near Federal Plaza. Sat in the car for a moment, trying to steady my breathing. This was it, the moment everything changed. Again, I grabbed the bag with the evidence. Walked out into the cold November morning. The city was exactly as I remembered. Loud, crowded, millions of people living their lives, oblivious to the ghosts walking among them. Federal Plaza was an imposing building. Glass and steel, American flags snapping in the wind. I walked through the front doors and approached the security desk. I need to speak with the U.S. attorney, I said. It's urgent. The security guard looked me up and down. Do you have an appointment? No, but my name is Sarah Castellano. Tell them Sarah Castellano is here. They'll know. He picked up the phone. Made a call. His expression changed as he listened. He hung up. Someone will be down in a moment, he said quietly. I waited in the lobby. 15 minutes. 20. I watched people come and go. Lawyers in expensive suits. Federal agents. Civilians with paperwork. Normal Tuesday morning in the justice system. And then I saw him. Marshall Jack Hendricks. Walking across the lobby toward me. His face was tight, controlled. Sarah, he said. Just that. Just my name. Don't call me that. Not here. We need to talk. Now. He led me to a conference room on the 2nd floor. Closed the door. And for a moment, we just looked at each other. I thought you were dead, he said finally. When you didn't check in, when your phone went offline. I'm very much alive. And I need help. You broke protocol. You disappeared. You compromised your security and possibly the security of the entire program. Do you understand how serious? There's a leak, I interrupted. In the Marshal's Service or the FBI or somewhere. Someone's been selling WITSEC information to organized crime families. They found Anthony. They almost killed him. They killed Thomas Varga, and they're coming for me. Hendricks went very still. Anthony's dead. No, he's not. You know he's not. The stabbing was faked. He's been in witness protection for 18 years. And someone leaked his location. Sarah, I don't know what you think you know, but... I pulled out the encrypted drive. Slammed it on the table. I have proof. Financial records. Communications. Everything. Special Agent Marcus Chen, he's the leak. He's been feeding information to the families for years. And if you don't start an investigation right now, I'm going to the press. I'm going to every news outlet in this city and I'm going to tell them everything. The corruption, the compromised witnesses, all of it. Hendricks stared at the drive. His jaw worked. You can't do that. Watch me. You'll get yourself killed. I'm already dead. Jessica Morgan doesn't exist anymore. Sarah Castellano is the only thing I have left. So either you help me, or I burn it all down. Your choice. For a long moment, he didn't move. Then he picked up the drive. I'll need to verify this, he said quietly. You have 24 hours. Then I go public. Sarah, it's not a negotiation. He looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something in his face. Respect, maybe, or just resignation. I'll make the calls, he said. The next 48 hours were chaos. Hendricks brought in people he trusted. Deputy Director of the FBI. U.S. Attorney's Office. They sequestered me in a secure location. Not a safe house, an actual FBI office. And went through every piece of evidence. Verified the financial records. Cross-referenced the communications. Built a case. Special Agent Marcus Chen was arrested on a Thursday morning. They raided his home and office simultaneously. Found more evidence. Offshore accounts. Communication with known mob associates. It was worse than even Varga had suspected. Chen had been compromised for over a decade. Dozens of witnesses had been exposed because of him. Some had been relocated in time. Some hadn't. The investigation expanded. More agents. More arrests. It became a massive internal corruption case. The kind that makes headlines. The kind that changes policy. And through it all, I waited. On the 6th day, Hendricks came to see me. His face was grave. We found Elena, he said. I knew from his expression. She's dead. Yes, they caught up with her in Illinois. I'm sorry, Sarah. I closed my eyes. Elena Marchetti, the woman who'd loved my brother for 20 years. The woman who'd risked everything to try to save him. Gone. Does Anthony know? I whispered. Yes, he knows. I want to see him. Hendricks hesitated. That's complicated. I don't care. I did what you asked. I exposed the leak. I gave you everything. Now I want to see my brother. If you see him, if anyone knows you're connected. I don't care, I said again. Louder. 16 years. 16 years I thought he was dead. You owe me this. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he nodded. 2 hours. That's all I can give you. And it has to be secure. No phones. No record. This meeting never happens. Deal. They brought us together in a nondescript office building in New Jersey. Empty floor. No cameras. Just a room with 2 chairs and a table. I waited, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might burst. And then the door opened. Anthony walked in. He looked older. Of course he did. 18 years. But it was him. Same green eyes. Same way of holding himself, like he was carrying a weight no one else could see. He stopped when he saw me. Just stopped. Sarah, he said. His voice broke on my name. I couldn't speak, couldn't move, and then he crossed the room and pulled me into a hug. And I was crying. We were both crying, 18 years of grief and guilt and loss pouring out of us. I'm so sorry, I said. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. No, no, you have nothing to be sorry for. You did the right thing. You saved people. You saved me. I got you killed. You got me free. He pulled back, looked at me. Sarah, you gave me a life. A real life. Not the one I was born into. Not the one Papa wanted. But mine. Do you understand? I've been free because of you. Elena. His face crumpled. I know. They told me. He couldn't finish. I held him while he cried. My brother. Alive. Broken. Here. We talked for 2 hours. About everything. About nothing. He told me about his life in witness protection. The jobs he'd had. The places he'd lived. The way he'd thought about me every day, wondering if I was safe, if I was happy. I told him about Portland. About teaching. About the small, lonely life I'd built. About how I'd mourned him. I wanted to contact you so many times, he said. But they said it was too dangerous. They said, I know, I understand. Do you really? Because I've been angry, Sarah, at them, at the system, at myself, for letting them separate us. For not fighting harder. You did what you had to do to survive. We both did. He took my hand. What happens now, after all this? I don't know. The leak is exposed. Chen's arrested. But the families, they're still out there. And they know I'm alive now. They know you're alive. We can't ever really hide again. So we live, Anthony said simply. Out loud, as ourselves. Let them try to come for us. We'll be ready. Together? Together. It wasn't a happy ending. There are no happy endings in stories like this. But it was an ending. A beginning. Something. The Marshalls wanted to relocate both of us. New identities. New places. But we refused. We'd spent 16 years being other people. We were done hiding. I went back to Portland. To my apartment. To my cat and my small life. But I went back as Sarah Castellano. I told my principal the truth. Told my friends, the few I had, the truth. Some of them couldn't handle it. Some of them disappeared from my life. But some stayed, and that was enough. Anthony moved to Seattle, close enough to visit, far enough to maintain some independence. He got a job, started building something real. We talk every week now. Sometimes more, making up for lost time. The families, they're watching. We know that. We accept it. But killing us now would be too public. Too messy. The corruption case made national news. Our names are known. We're survivors. Symbols. And symbols are hard to kill. Special Agent Marcus Chen pled guilty to racketeering and corruption charges. He got 30 years. The investigation he sparked led to 17 more arrests across federal and state agencies. The Witness Protection Program underwent massive reforms. Oversight, audits, security protocols. Thomas Varga's name was cleared posthumously. They dedicated a conference room at the FBI's New York office to him. Small honor, not enough, but something. Elena Marchetti was buried quietly in Oregon. Anthony and I were there. Just the two of us and a priest. We told her we'd finished it. We told her she'd saved us. We told her we loved her. I still look over my shoulder sometimes. Still check my locks twice. Still sleep with a weapon within reach. You don't undo 16 years of hiding overnight. Maybe you never undo it. But I'm not Jessica Morgan anymore. I'm Sarah Castellano. I'm a woman who made an impossible choice at 23 and has been living with the consequences ever since. I'm a woman who lost everything and found it again. I'm a sister, a survivor, a witness, and I'm still here. That's my story. That's the truth. Every word of it. I'm telling you now because I need people to know. Need them to understand what witness protection really means. What it costs. The Marshalls saved my life, yes. But they also took it. Took my name, my family, my past. Made me a ghost. And when the system itself is corrupted, when the people protecting you are the very ones who might betray you, there's nowhere safe. Nowhere to hide. So I'm not hiding anymore. If you're listening to this, if you're someone in witness protection, someone living under a new name with a new face, know that you're not alone. Know that the system isn't perfect. Know that there are people fighting to make it better. To make it safer. And if you're someone in law enforcement, someone with the power to change things, do better. Protect your witnesses. Root out corruption. Make sure that when people put their lives on the line to tell the truth, they're actually safe. Because the truth matters. Justice matters. And the people who sacrifice everything for it deserve better than to live in fear for the rest of their lives. My name is Sarah Castellano. I turned on my family to save a life. I spent 16 years dead. And I came back to tell you this story. Because some truths are too important to stay buried.